Hey, everybody, you're listening to the Wombo podcast. I'm Chipmunk, and with me, as always, is the Mr. Gimpy.
What's up, brother? How's it going?
What's happening, dude? I'm just living, bro.
Kids,
living.
Man. Kids are what's happening, man.
It's life, man.
It's too close to my daughter's birthday, Christmas, all that jazz.
They just have like a bunch of... I noticed they did that rollout again, where they haven't done in a while. It used to be like the OG Sears catalog.
Yeah,
but now like
there's an Amazon catalog now.
They got all kinds of catalogs now where they know, dude, getting those little kids all hyped up for the season.
So I gotta say, the only other, like, outside of my two kids, I have a niece, right, who's turning 8 in a couple months. Her Christmas list, like, my sister sent it to me. She literally circled Oculus Quest 2, and I'm like, she listening to the pod? Does she know about my love for the VR? You know, and then I was like, nah, she's too young for that. But I was impressed.
I was about like 80% there to buying the Oculus Quest 2 this week, man.
Damn it! You should have been 100%, dude.
Dude, the last thing was like I was gonna go test it yesterday. My buddy has like a PlayStation VR, and I was like, all right, I've never even done VR. Let me at least try it out before I buy it. Like maybe I could do like what you suggested, because they have them now like at Target and stuff, and like they're pretty relaxed with like their return policies at like most big box retails. But
yeah,
I was like, oh, let me just at least try it out before that. So I hit up my buddy, and like my plan was to go yesterday over to his place. Then I called my buddy, and he's like, yeah, I can't do it. I was like, what's up? He's like, yeah, man, my mom's right now. He's like, I got in a fight with my old lady. He's like, oh, things aren't looking good. And I was like, oh, word. Damn, that sucks, bro. So, yeah.
It escalated to a place I didn't think of.
No, dude, yeah, like I'm saying, bro, it took like a huge right turn for me. So I was like, wow, all right. So I told him to just keep his pimp hand strong, and I was like, "It's kind of
in trouble."
I think it's also kind of like the holiday seasons too. Like
when you're on high stress, yeah.
Well, it's high stress, and then like people put their expectations on you, like your family, like expectations you never had for yourself. So it's like I'm sure like she's going home, and they're like, "So how come you're not getting married yet?" Blah blah blah. Like, why are you living together? If like this kind of nonsense where it's like you could be perfectly happy in a good relationship, and then other people like are gonna put their expectations on where you should be at and what you should be doing, and that doesn't help. It's high stress. All the naysayers, dude. Like I don't know.
True, man. True.
It's a trying year.
All so that being said, I just want you in VR, huh?
Yeah, I just wanted to play VR, dude. Like, I don't want to get into the trials and tribulations of my friend's relationship, but.
Bro, just jump in, dude. It's the best way. Just jump in. If you're 80% of the way there, just get it.
All right. So the other part of it is like I'm gonna wait.
Day, right? It's return policy. If you don't like it, I think it's 60.
I don't know. I'm gonna wait for the next deal, because before they're having like the $50 gift cards, and now that I know that, I don't want to just pay full price without that. And the other rumor I heard is that they might be dropping an Oculus 3 like Q1. So maybe they're trying to clear out like back stock right now with like the deals to drop the 3, because the Zuckerberg said he wanted to have like 1 billion VR headsets sold.
Yeah, he's also a giant overconfident piece of shit though. So I mean, I don't know if
you know, is he though? Because I mean, he's got like he's made billions of dollars doing what he does. Like, true. So is that overconfidence, or is that just being like really successful and confident in like what you've done? He's successful
in one avenue though, just selling people's information. Right, that's how he got his money. He's just selling everyone's information. So
that works, bro. Like,
it's a new avenue.
I've always been against hardware, like software companies doing hardware. Like they always take a bath on it. Like you can see the same thing with like Snapchat when they try to do like a fashion brand lifestyle.
Yes.
And they lost like $90 million. You can see it with THQ when they tried to do like the touch pads, like the learning pads. They lost like 60 million on it.
Yep.
You can see it like in a lot of people who do like the run for like the fitness gimmick wearables, like wearable electronics. Everyone's like, oh, this is going to be the future, but like the tech is still too young and the price is still too expensive. So it's almost there, but not quite there. They're probably like 20 years off on their SKUs, like on what they're thinking. But but everybody runs at a loss in big tech. So like for them, they're like, oh, this is fine. We're looking at a 10-year pipeline, and like we'll have it at that point. So if they're looking 10 years down the line for 1 billion people to have like a VR headset, and maybe not just like the Oculus, but I mean, there was everybody seems to be pulling out of the VR market though. Like you see with the HTC Vive, they said they're going to put out a new one at some point.
They did.
Yeah. So like, but they pulled out, and then they're like, oh, we're doing like the Steam Deck, and then eventually we'll get back to the Vive.
They just released the Pro 3, like literally
did they
3 months ago, and then they have the Focus as well, which I believe is the Focus 2. It's like their glasses. So
okay, Sony's still in the game.
Sony is releasing the PSVR 2 in or summer of 2022.
Boom, bro. So
yeah, dude, it's still active. I think there's just a lull because of the pandemic and the chipset shortage. So I think I know which article you read. Honestly,
okay,
there was a sensational article that got pretty popular in August.
Yeah, dude, like I said, like I hear things that I just like pass it on like it's facts. I'm like, yeah, this is probably right.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, because this is something that's literally out there that I've heard multiple times, and I wish I would have saved it. I want to say it was The Verge, and I block everything related from that site because they're just full of shit 100% of the time.
Well, it's weird now that journalists can just like use a tweet as a source.
Oh, it's retarded.
Yeah, they're like, oh, somebody tweeted that VR's dead.
Yeah,
and they're like, therefore, like, let me write, like, they got to get paid, dude. Like, you could, I don't know, man. It's a bad system for writers in general. The clickbait models dying.
Yes.
But so you're saying that it's all fake news, news.
It is. So there was a time right before HTC unveiled the Pro 3 where they were saying HTC is getting out of the VR market. One company that literally just got in was HP. The HP Reverb was released end of 2020, beginning of 2021. It's the highest resolution VR set you can get right now. That and like the Pimax. And they were saying, oh, HP's unhappy with sales. They're pulling out. No, not at all, man. It's literally outside of the Quest. And just because Quest had so much back stock. There's a worldwide chipset shortage that is slowing down production and everything. It's the reason the Steam Deck got delayed until quarter 2 2022. Graphics cards are there. Yeah, they're
Xbox, PlayStation, like
every single piece of technology, including cars. I might add.
Okay, whoa.
No, seriously. So
a huge exclamation.
They don't have. No, that's what people don't realize. People are like, oh, this chipset shortage. It only affects like video cards and things that gamers care about. It's legitimately affecting your next car. The 2021 series of cars, there is, I believe it was 40%, don't quote me on it, I'm pretty sure I read this though, 40% less of a normal stock than any other year in the past 20 years because of the chipset shortage. Because guess what? Your car has a fucking onboard computer. But like that helps your car run, and those can't be made right now because of the chipset shortage. So that is 100% the reason why the government stepped in to try and boost creating new chipsets and things. Because once you affect the auto industry, it affects the layman's pockets, and when the layman's pockets get affected, they get pissed and they actually start doing something.
I mean, like transportation infrastructure is like the backbone of all society.
All society, yes, across the world.
I would say to go like water, electricity, and then transportation.
Yeah,
as far as like to run a running society.
Really, here's the thing: most like developed nations
food,
will work on transportation before they work on sanitation. Just to give you an idea on how big transportation is. So we don't have new auto there. Yeah,
this is one of the reasons why I've early on when things start closing down and stuff, like I wasn't too worried, because I read like a book, because I was thinking about being a trucker at one point. So I was reading like the trucker manual, and like in part of like that, it's like, it kind of says like the benefits of like what trucking does.
Yeah.
And they're like, at the time, this was years ago, it was something like cities can't last more than 3 weeks without new food of like coming in from trucks.
Yes.
So I was like, oh shit, I need to at least get like 3 weeks worth of food built up, like, like dry consumable. So what I do is I got like stuff I use for camping, and then I throughout the summer will like use it for camping, and then I refresh it in the winter.
Yeah.
But at any given point, I have like a month to 2 months worth of like dry food that I can like survive on, just because I read that in a book, and I was like, oh, yeah, I should probably have that. So like when everyone started freaking out, like one of my coworkers was like, hey man, you seem really calm about this. I was like, my secret, I've always been a prepper, bro. So I'm not worried about this.
You just don't talk about it openly, right?
You never, like, that's rule one of
a big prepper.
Yeah,
man,
don't tell people you
it.
have like a stockpile of anything, dude.
All those people who are on the show, Doomsday Preppers, are just a bunch of posers. You ask me, man. They're
the ones who are going to be like having to like make the really tough decisions of like turning people away or fighting to like hold on to your stuff. Like it's it's not good, man. And like, I don't know.
I feel this is going to be way off base, but let's go into it.
All right.
Feel one of the best things that you could do for any of these doomsday scenarios is know how to butcher and cook meat, right?
Field dress a deer.
Exactly. It should be a basic skill. I don't have that skill, right?
Yeah,
I don't have that skill right now. I can cook. I am very proud of my cooking ability, but I don't know how to butcher a field dress a deer, or any animal for that
like
matter.
A squirrel.
So my thought is just be friends with that person who knows how to do it, right? If I can prepare that meal for you, and I've cooked over fires and stuff like that, I know like how to do it. If I could prepare it and you butcher it, that's like a nice symbiotic relationship that we can both have. You know what I mean?
That's right, dude.
So my plan is just to is Doomsday Warlord status, right? I would either control the water, or I would put like deer and stuff and to pasture with my butcher buddy, and we will slowly build a community that I will release water to people and cuts of meat, and everyone will chip into this community until I am one of the 3 sects of Doomsday Warlords, in the compound. Facts, so my goal, if you've seen the Mad Max Fury Road, my goal is to be Immortan Joe. That's my goal, right?
That's your big goals.
So I think we're
headed there.
We're moving there shortly.
We're slowly moving the needle in that direction.
Exactly.
Yeah, but like your recommendation was the Resident Evil for like the last pod we did for sales, like video game sales. I didn't get that, but I ended up reading this book. It's called the Dark Blood Age, and it's basically kind of like DayZ. It's like a zombie apocalypse, but instead of zombies, they use like giant insects. Like the sun goes out and like some mystical it's like 2012, the end of the world prophecy is like the sun goes out and like giant insects start appearing, and some people start getting like superpowers and they start fighting it. It's kind of put me in a bad mood because I've been listening to this thing like all week, and I was like, dang man, this is too real at this point. Like
you see a big ass wasp, you're like, motherfucker, it's real.
They're coming in for the winter, I gotta get rid of them now.
Right.
Yeah, man. So all that being said, is I think the final tier to this is getting VR so I can escape. Like as we head more and more down the Fury Road, I need a virtual escape from it, bro. That's what I'm thinking, because like we're talking about like offshoots and stuff of like clones of video games and stuff, and I think like if I was thinking like what's next is I think like VR is the next thing, but I'm not sure how to quite get there. And like last time I was getting deep into it was probably like 5 years ago, and at that point I listened to an interview with the head of Disney creative department, and he said he hasn't seen any compelling reasons for VR at that point. So this was still like when this is pre Facebook acquisition of Oculus, like this is early on still, like this is like people still trying to figure out stuff. So it's tough, man. I'm not sure how much the landscape's changed. Like a lot of the stuff out there still seems kind of gimmicky to me. But what I did see was like somebody like remodeling like their home in VR, and then like just living in a VR home. And I was like, that would be great. I wouldn't mind doing something like that, because I have like the space here, like in the living room, where I was like, I could take over the living room and kitchen area and just have it be like a VR world for me.
Let me address that too, because I didn't even realize that I was becoming this bastion of VR hope. But even my conversations across not only this pod, but like I'll post on Reddit, I'll post on other
You're
things.
the ambassador for VR.
Yeah. It's slowly becoming that. I follow a couple of VR YouTube channels who are doing an amazing job of promoting the medium. Now, I would always argue this: gimmicks inspire people for better things down the line. When video games first came out, they were seen as a gimmick as well. They were seen as a toy. Until we started getting, until money started coming in with like your Pac-Mans, your Space Invaders, your Pongs, your, people were like, okay, this is a gimmick that's on par with pinball. And then games started coming home, and we had console experiences where we had stories and long form content. And now we are talking about a medium that beats out movies. Gaming beats Hollywood, and it's not. There's
close.
Like during the pandemic, what was the big thing? People were worried movie theaters would never exist again. It'd be only streaming. Hollywood was making nothing. Bollywood is making nothing, and they're notorious for just grinding stuff out. Yeah, you saw what Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi?
That's great.
Excuse me.
And, did he change his name in that? It was like from Sean to
It was Sean. It was Sean because it's Shang. Yeah.
So, that was great. I love that. It was a great movie.
You saw what? That's 3 movies this year?
Yeah.
Let's say that's because that's all that came out. Hollywood made nothing because of the pandemic. You know who was still grinding? Who was still doing great? Gaming. Gaming was the one entertainment medium that profits went up during the pandemic.
I would say they capitalized by releasing a lot of like broken products, and they're like, what can you do though?
Animal Crossing was one of the biggest sellers throughout the entire pandemic era.
Did we talk about this where I had my friend who was big into the Animal Crossing black market for a little bit?
No.
Okay. So I guess so there's, I guess, real money in Animal Crossing. So there's like weird gotchas that they do. I don't know how often it happens. I think it's like once every week or month or something. There's like a couple of different ones. And like some guy comes by and he offers you like different things you can buy. And so like his big thing was like pieces of art in the game. So you can buy like these like fancy pieces of art, and there's only like a rare chance to get them. So he'd have like 2 or 3 accounts, and like he'd wait for these. And then there was a group of people who had like a Discord channel, and they would like trade for real cash money, like the gotchas that they wanted for like their, thing that they're doing. So he told me he was making like $300 or $400 a month doing this, just like swapping like digital goods into Animal Crossing.
I appreciate the hustle on that. That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's a whole world, bro. I guess I had no idea either. He started telling me about this, and I was like, holy crap, dude, this is crazy.
I do know there are Pokemon hunters as well. They will, if you say you want a shiny whatever, they'll hunt for you, and you have to pay them for the Pokemon that they find. So I'm like, I get it, man. Like if you can monetize something you love, like you go for it, man. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
But
yeah, man. You're saying like that was like one of the like just release after release we're getting for video games, whereas like movies kind of shut down. But they also have like to worry about like cast and crew and like all the other health restrictions. Yeah, they put in like a bunch of weird executive orders. So there was like a tale of two lands almost, where it's like rules for thee but not for me, where it's like oh yeah, they need to work on these movies because they're essential, and everyone's like, how are they essential? It's like because it's a $1 billion industry, they're making millions of dollars. Like it's like
there's something about the essential thing because they're not essential if they were in our state, right?
Yeah.
But
I remember like
GameStop
California trying to say
how many
were
people
essential.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's dumb. But for
hey man, they were saying like for mental health, bro. Like
for state of California, right? I think that definitely Hollywood is essential because that's where most of your people work. That's the industry where most of them work. So that's how I felt about that. There was a big controversy about the WWE filing for being essential, and it was granted in Florida. And it's because of how much money they inject into that economy. I mean,
AEW didn't really stop. They were going big, dude. I feel like they're bigger than ever now. Like they got CM Punk got on there now. They got Brian. He's back. He's there. Who else did they get? They got like another really big guy. They got the biggest of guys, Big Show. He
Adam
showed
Cole,
up.
Baby.
Adam Cole's there. Man, they're doing big things.
They're doing fun stuff. The Rampage pay-per-view is coming up pretty soon.
They really didn't stop during this whole thing. And they like innovated. They had like those weird like stadium war things that they're doing. Like, so they had Sting show up. Like, I don't know. it's I would say it's essential for Florida. Wrestling is essential to Florida, bro. Like, because that's where they were doing most of their wrestling out of, was Florida as well. So,
Yep. Yep. So I
it's
think per state, essential means like whichever injects most money into your economy. You know, like that's what it is. But that's, you know, I'm not a politician. So what was I on? Yeah, but gaming definitely kept people sane during the pandemic, during lockdown. So I think the fact that we have this giant industry with VR and we have the old heads who are scared of it. They're like, no, this is a gimmick. No, the people who are jumping into it, they're gonna reap the benefits. Myself, I thought it was a gimmick until I experienced it. There's nothing like, you know, jumping into Half-Life Alyx, and I love the world of Half-Life. There's nothing to actually looking around and interacting with City 17, a place that, you know, I've been in, and, you know, in Half-Life 2 and all the episodes and stuff, but something about being in it was incredible. Looking at a Vortigaunt that you get the sense of scale of how big these things are, or like in relation to myself, seeing the head crabs, picking up a head crab, looking at the underside, seeing where they latch onto your face and try and, you know, impregnate you basically to become a zombie. Like all of that's incredible, man. Any like virtual world that you could imagine that you've experienced, like people who's played like 10,000 hours of Skyrim, right? Skyrim VR, you could take those 10,000 hours and be inside of it. You know,
I just saw somebody doing that today, dude. They're like had the haptic feedback suit on. They're like, I'm here. I'm doing it. Man. They have like a chair set up in their living room. And like every time I sit in the game, I have a chair here that I sit on. Like,
yeah, man.
They're there living.
There's something like video games are used as an escape a lot of the time, you know, or just something to wind down. And there's something to be said about escaping into another world, man. It's, you know, it's such an incredible, just out of body experience that people are discounting by saying it's a gimmick. Yes, there are gimmicky games, but a lot of these gimmicky games are designed to help you grow your VR legs so you don't get sick. You know,
it seems like there's a lot of fertile ground still as well, because there's not a lot of games, and like I know Oculus had like kind of like a walled garden approach as well, where they're like you can only get games from the Oculus store.
Yep.
And they've been opening that up now, where they have like a thing where it's like, okay, I guess you can just sideload whatever you want. But
yes.
For a long time, they're like trying to like have but like the main interface you're going to get to like the games is like their store. But like if you're like a little bit more savvy, like you can just do like one or two things that allow you to like freeload in other games from like your Steam and everything else. But
yeah,
it's interesting because it seems like there's nothing but opportunity there, but I'm not sure if it's like you're saying that there's not enough users for it to make sense for like the XY for these bigger companies to start developing. I think they all got burned by the Wii U because like the Nintendo Wii allowed everybody to put like a bunch of like shovelware on it.
Yep.
So like kind of devalued everything. And then a lot of the bigger manufacturers, when the Wii U came out, they're like, I don't think we're going to focus on this because they're just putting anything on here. And like, it's not, it's harder to shine, or I don't know what the thinking is at corporate.
The Wii U also failed because of naming, and so they should have named it the Wii 2 or something. Because I remember even to this day, people are all like, "Oh yeah, I have that." I'm like, and I look and it's like, no, that's the Wii. The Wii U is something different. They're like, what? So
it's
like
completely different.
Like people like the audience that Nintendo got. The casual audience, they had no idea what games were. They thought Wii and they're good forever. You know, Wii U came up, you're like, what the hell's that? Why do I need that? That's you know, marketing issue there. That's why the Switch.
Is that all this is? It's just a marketing issue for VR as well. Do you think like because when you talk to people about it, like people are like, oh yeah, I heard about that, but they still kind of think of it as gimmicky. Like they
think of it.
They don't know how far.
They think of like the cardboard things on your phone. It's people have to experience VR to really understand it. And we're getting better with having killer apps that are only VR experiences that I think that are going to drive it. Because how do you sell hardware, right? You have software that you can't get anywhere else. How did people get into PC gaming? Doom was so popular, it crashed network servers
Yeah.
because of people downloading the shareware version all the time. So people are like, okay, I'm gonna get a PC to play Doom, right? How did you get an NES? You wanted to play Mario, right? You couldn't play
Yeah.
Mario anywhere else. That's how you sell hardware.
Or
The
Street
hardware
Fighter.
is yeah, right. The hardware is finally there
Tetris.
to where you can have an experience that you can't have anywhere else. And I think we need 2 more games to really, really drive VR as the next big thing to the public. Right now, I'd say the top 2 games to get VR, and this is just where anyone can experience it and see what VR is about. Beat Saber. It does a great job of getting people into it. It's easy to pick up and play. It's easy to know what if you're doing well or not. Rhythm games are phenomenal at attracting a casual audience. So Beat Saber, Half-Life Alyx. Half-Life Alyx is only PC VR, but if you can get a game like it on the Quest, there's nothing like how Alyx makes you feel lived in the world.
How much of this is just conditioning though? Because like we've been playing games sitting down like as long as the video games have been out, basically since the 80s. So I feel like it's
I was
almost
standing up all the time, but yeah.
yeah. Uh, it's hard for people to like transition from like I'm gonna sit down and like just go into straight veggie mode playing a game to like, oh, let me like sit up and like get involved into like another world and like have a unique like different experience that like I can't really get traditionally by just sitting down. Like it seems like you almost need like a new type of like Skyrim or something to like get people to be like, all right, this is it. And like I know one of the original creators of the Oculus like went out and said he's like want to create a Sword Art Online like experience with what he said, quote, real consequences. And like everyone was like, I don't know what that means. So, you know, like Sword Art, like
you die
people
in the game, you die in life, like Frankie
Yeah.
Muniz.
So but I think like it's like I don't know, people have like played with that idea of like losing all your progress and like or like not being able
Yeah.
to log back in or like this kind of thing, like you get one and done.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting closer there as well with like blockchain technologies where you can have like a verified like account or user like assigned and like you won't be able to get around that type of thing where it's
Sure.
like we can assign like a specific token to a piece of hardware and then like we know it's you and like there's no way like you can fudge that on the network. Like it's not your IP that we're verifying, it's like down to the hardware level.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then like you're gonna get people soldering off chips and reselling like whatever like that the lock is for the lock and key. But like yeah, so I think there might be room for like more unique and interesting type of experiences like that. I don't know how popular that would be because nobody would like to lose everything in a game and like not be able to
Right.
play it or like have to whatever like
Right.
buy I don't know, because like in every science fiction thing it always becomes the most popular game ever, and I'm like, how though? Like nobody would want to play that thing. Like if I had to pay you like $80 and then if I die in the game I can never play that game again, like no thanks, I'm just gonna go play a different game. Like
I have an idea for that, but before I delve into that idea, the other game, like Oculus exclusive, Lone Echo 1 and 2 are probably one of the best VR experiences as well, which you can play on PC VR with Revive. But the problem with that is Oculus doesn't put any budget into marketing the games for it. They're only marketing the hardware, and they don't like marketing things that are cross-platform either.
I think they have a problem though of like market penetration with just the hardware. And like it's kind of like you're saying, it's like a chicken egg. Like if you're saying you have the killer app, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough. I know they doubled up their units sold in the last year. So they went from like 1% market share VR, all VR, to like 2% now. So
yes.
But that's like a massive market. It's like you said, it's like bigger than movies. It's like one of the biggest entertainment sectors. So like a percentage increase is massive. But of course, like you can't do that every year, but like I know Silicon Valley likes to think you can. Like,
You're right. You can't do that every year with hardware. That's why you push the software. So right now, like getting an extra percent of market share is fucking huge. I don't think people understand how big that is,
yeah,
especially because they're essentially a new console. They're essentially, they just carved out their own space in it.
they're like the
Uh,
Ouya, but for reals this
exactly,
time.
exactly. So I think once and Facebook has the well, I'm sorry, Meta has the budget behind behind it to actually make an impact on this. I think if they have a good strategic head who will see this, and maybe down the line someone, he or she will look at this pod and go, hey, Mr. Gimpy's correct. I should have marketed the games to sell this product. And the
Yeah,
other thing
it's
that I
almost
think they
like they
should,
have the biggest advertising platform in
and they're
human
not
history
using
at their
it,
disposal.
and they're not
Yeah, it's
using
like
it.
how
Yeah,
come like I mean even look at like the Meta gaming or Facebook gaming. Like if you want to stream games on there, it's like it's incredibly hard to find the pages, one, and then like it's a really bad interface like if you're trying to stream on there like two. So it's like why wouldn't you make that way easy? Like they have like a whole side project that they just never took seriously, and that's like their Facebook gaming. They're just like, oh yeah, I don't know, well, we have it where you can stream on here too. It's kind of like
they
Steam streaming as well, like on Steam, where they're like you can stream on Steam, but like if you want to, you have to know like your video game ID store I like number, and then use that as your plugins to know what game that you're streaming. It's like it's so convoluted. Like
it's also not curated. It's you click the game and then there's that little broadcast thing of who's
yeah.
broadcasting, and it just pushes people who have the most numbers to the top. So there's no discoverability either.
I mean, that's Twitch as well. Twitch does the same thing with discoverability. It's like
Right.
slightly easier to get into. Like you just like log in, they give you a token, you plug that in, but
Right.
it's a bit of a process. Like all of these are a bit of a hassle, but I feel like if anything, they already own. Nobody else owns like the hardware to software like Facebook does right now, where they could just have it be like a single button solution to start streaming on your Oculus.
Oh,
I mean,
that
like
okay, yeah.
yeah,
So I was
to
gonna say
Facebook gaming.
Valve with the Index and the Half-Life Alyx being the killer app, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Valve could do that with their software as well. Like if like you have like a Valve HTC Vive or Index or whatever, like, you just like hit a button and you're like boom, or like even their new streaming small console that they have, where they could be like, oh, you just hit a button on here, now you're streaming on Steam. Uh, the
yeah.
Steam box, like
Valve isn't interested in being a streaming company, though, is the thing. I think what Valve did with the Index and Half-Life Alyx's launch, if you buy an Index, you get Alex for free. Bundling is, it helps, I think,
yeah.
especially when you have a great game like that. So Oculus needs to bundle, I think, and like I said, promote the games more, and you'll get it. When you were looking into VR, I'm assuming you were. I know you were just looking at the Oculus. You may have looked at any of the higher tier headsets too, but any games where you like, this looks great, I'd like to experience this.
Not really. There wasn't like any one thing where I was like looking at, I was like, oh dang, this is, if anything, I was more excited for the platform, and I was like, this would be fun to develop something on. And I didn't really come up with any ideas, but it was just an exciting idea of like, oh, and like I think the most exciting experience was, like I said, like mapping my living room to like a 3D
Hmm.
model, and then being able to project and do things in there that you like, augmenting like my physical space with a virtual space, and then expanding that out to like infinite possibilities is like an incredibly compelling thing that you can't get that any other way. Like, you know,
Yeah.
so just doing something like that, like was incredibly interesting to me. And I think like most people think like, why would you want to make like a shitty low res version of your living room? But like to me, like they're thinking very small and limited. I'm thinking like, oh, you could just have it where like you can hit a button and like all the walls go down and like you're anywhere else on Earth, or like in a show or a
Like the
game. And
Matrix.
yeah, exactly like the Matrix.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, man.
yeah, so that was the most compelling thing I saw for the VR world. Aside
Okay.
from that, like I saw like all the big names, like you said, like yeah, your Beat Sabers, your Super Hots, uh, your Half Life Alyx,
Hmm.
Sis. Uh, Aside from that, like I didn't see too many other games. I don't know. Maybe that there's like some sort of like fishing game or something. Look like there's like some guided meditation stuff. And then VR chat still seems pretty interesting, but it also seems like there's only little kids on there as well. So that and like weird furries.
That's VR chat though. That's its own
Yeah,
subset of a community, honestly.
that's its own world.
Yeah, man. That's like going to certain spots in any city, where you get like this weird subset of people who are
The red
into
light district.
like
It's a little bit more shady, a little
yeah,
seedier.
exactly. That's what VR chat is. It's the red light district of gaming. It definitely has its place, and it
It's
definitely
the ghetto. Is a
it's just
gun
not for
store,
me.
liquor store, gun store. Where are you taking me?
But yeah, man. Like I said, I don't want this episode to be all about VR, but I do think that if you do get a headset, and Oculus Quest 2 is obviously the lowest bar to get a full VR
Are we gonna do
experience.
a episode where we're both in VR chat?
That means I'd have to get VR chat though. That's the problem. Like
You don't have. I'm sure there's like
I've
some
jumped
other
into it, and
situation, right?
I just am not a fan of it.
Can we do a
And
virtual episode where we're both in our headsets doing the episode?
I'm sure we could. I'm sure we could.
We'd have the technology.
Right. Everyone following on just the audio portion would be like, "What the fuck is this bullshit?" And turn it off immediately.
No,
But
it
yeah,
would be the same podcast, but you and I would be
yeah,
interfacing in a virtual environment.
yeah.
Aside from
Definitely.
how we're doing right now in a virtual environment.
Could be good. We could
Yeah.
be sitting next to each other. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, man. I think that if you don't get into it now, we're at a point where people are still learning how to use it, right? And I'm talking users. So if you play any multiplayer game, everyone's learning how to walk again, basically. You wait too long, people are going to be running in VR, and you're going to learn how to walk. I think if you get in, you'll be better mechanically. I think you'll be better with VR legs, and you'll be able to experience the higher quality stuff immediately versus having to acclimate your body to a new experience. So I do think that you should get VR if even you have a slight interest in it, and I haven't had you have an interest in almost anything in a long time,
Yeah.
outside of of like one or two game releases. But this is a new experience, man, and I think that once you've tried it, I think you could, one, make something incredible in VR, but two, I think you could definitely open yourself up to a new avenue of game playing, and
Yeah. I
there's
think
nothing
my
like it.
biggest problem is I've already waited this long for it. Like I said, I've been interested. It's been on my gaming periphery since like 2005, 2006. Like I remember seeing like the OG original like Oculus prototypes, like they
Yes.
were doing it like E3 and stuff, the Electronic Expo. I remember like when Carmack like announced he was going to join the team.
Yep.
There, as there before they were like even public. It was still like a private company. Like I remember like seeing like the original like prototype where it was like all kind of glued together. It was like a wonky thing, and like seeing like so I've already like waited this long where I'm like, what's another couple of years almost like it's been a long road. I've been growing up watching this little single cell organism turn into like a small creature.
Yeah. I
Um,
think there's something to be said about being on the ground floor for a lot of this too, especially as a fellow developer too. I think you can appreciate not only the games coming out for it, but the developers growing and learning how to make games in this medium. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is one of those games where it's fucking incredible, and you would not get the same experience
did you say
on
you
a
had
flat
like
screen game.
some interesting VR game ideas?
I did. A lot of it concerns with stealth, and so there are some stealth VR games that do things very well, but I think they are all lacking in freedom of movement. So I think climbing on things, like you literally hanging upside down in places in VR, to get
Are
information and
there
stuff. There's
Is third person okay in VR, or does everything you want it to be first person?
I think it's more immersive when it's first person. There are a few third person VR games where you're like a god controlling things. Um, if it's like a third person thing and you're directly controlling the character, uh, it's this weird like out of body thing where the control setup doesn't really work. I mean, don't want to stop you from trying, but there's a reason why most people don't do that.
But you can't really qualify it with like actual words. It's just like a feel sense
It's a
thing.
feel. It's a feel thing. Yeah,
It just
yeah.
doesn't feel right.
That's the problem with VR. A lot of it is feeling. Like
Yeah.
you can't put it into words because it's feel. Yeah, and that's some of the things. But I think like a God game like Black and White in VR would be incredible. Where because in
Okay,
Black
like
and White you were an omnipresent force controlling with
like
a
a RTS.
giant beast. Yeah, exactly. I think that would be incredible. So yeah, there's definitely some experiences there. But yeah, let me get off the VR talk for a second here because we had some things. But I do think that if you do get it, man,
I think we're already close to the whole. How long has this been, bro?
Like
We've
40
been
minutes.
Yeah, dude. Like we might as well just close out, dude. VR, bro. Like we've gone this far.
That's true. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's like what stopped you?
I just wanted to try it before I bought it. That was the only thing. I was like literally had the VR in the shopping cart at the Target.com.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy this. And then I was like, maybe I should try it real quick before I, drop like $300 on this. So I knew my one buddy has it and like he's lives pretty close to here. So I just like texted him. I was like, hey man, what are you doing? Do you mind if I like come by and try this like on Saturday? He's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Then I texted him on Saturday. He's like, everything's gone sideways with the old lady.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I could see that.
Okay.
So otherwise I would be probably sitting here playing it right now, dude, instead of doing this podcast. I would be doing the podcast in the VR space.
Right. So I will say, when you do try it, and if it's PSVR, that's your first experience, solid. The field of view is a little more limited on PSVR, and the texture quality is a little lower. So
but I figured if that was good, it would be 4 times as good on the improved hardware. Was my thinking.
What games does he have?
I think he has a lot, dude. I don't know. I didn't ask. Okay. He's had it for a while. Okay.
So okay.
I don't know. And like everybody I talk to who has VR also is like, oh, I have to like set it up before you come over. So I don't know, man. It seems like everybody I know with VR it's not their primary way of doing business. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see
it's just like a nice periphery thing. So
like my VR, like over here is my VR space. It's an empty spot in the room, and my VR headset is wireless. So I just pick it up, put it on, walk over there. There's some seated VR games that I'll walk over there and just pull my seat up and sit down. There's this mech game that I've been playing called Iron Rebellion, and that's a seated game where everything's virtual. So I'm like holding my touchpads, and like in the game I'll grip, and there's a joystick in game to control my mech. So there's definite different experiences that really lend itself to VR.
So for me, I want it to be my primary way of using my computer. Like I just want to like have a virtual desktop and just be chilling, dude. Is that a good idea? Could I be doing things like that?
No. I will be honest and say no. You're going to be limited by a lot.
The text? Is it the screen quality?
Readability is a little rough, just because unless your IPD is incredible. But the other thing too is, I believe Oculus has this it's in beta right now, where it's finger tracking using the cameras on the headset, and there's like it'll recognize your keyboard and let you type on that with like a pass through. So it's like an altered reality kind of feel versus virtual. So you definitely could do it, but there's a thing where the Oculus's battery life by default is at max 3 hours. So how long are you at your device doing things, Is
about 3 hours, dude.
Yeah.
Because after like work and everything, I get home, after I stream a game, then I have like 2 to 3 hours to just hang out and chill. It's like 7 to 9 o'clock. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's why when you were looking into it, I messaged you like the power, like the battery bank adapter and stuff. So I'd still highly recommend that. But
probably be longer on the weekend. I'd probably need it for like the weekend, the battery bank situation.
Yeah. So I'd say like, and then it does get hot. Okay. Like it's a device on your head that generates heat. It gets hot. So I think comfort would be a thing too. But man, we live in a time where, especially in our state, where snow hit, no one wants to go outside, no one wants to do anything. Where I think the potential social aspects, the potential like running around with friends is one of those things where you don't really get, especially as you get older, right? Like we don't hang out and just go, you can just play sports, run around as much, right?
Yeah.
VR, you are having that physical activity,
Do they have a
which I
disc
think
golf game in
they do.
VR?
It's pretty bad though. They do. It's
Oh.
pretty bad. But there's definitely other experiences we could do. Echo Arena is like this, like, what is it? What was it in Final Fantasy X? Blitzball. It's like Blitzball
Yeah.
in VR, where we're throwing the balls to each other. We're grabbing it. We're trying to score a goal. You can do that, dude. It's amazing. So
All right.
there's definitely a physical learning curve, but there is with any sport, right? So definitely play that. So man, and I think maybe
So it's not for the primary desktop
I don't think
situation.
so. I wouldn't think so.
See that I think that's mainly what I really want is a primary desktop replacement situation.
Okay, yeah,
I
I
don't
would
know
say
how far
VR's
away
got
do you
there.
think when will it be there, do you think?
If they even go for it, we're at
It's
the
just about
most
display.
like yeah, look, displays are getting better, but it's also about comfort of like cooling solutions because if you're in VR for a while, not only are you moving and like the headset's like glued to your face, so you'll start sweating, and
Yeah.
but the device itself is displaying an image, and then like I have a wireless dongle, so the dongle on top of my head will get warm if I'm playing it for a while. The headset on front will get warm because it's been on for a while, It's just a comfort thing where if you can make this like seamless where you don't feel any of the heat, sure, but I don't think realistically you're not going to get around that at least at all. Honestly, there could be like this crazy like heat sinks or something you can use, but yeah, I don't think you'd get around it, and I don't think it'd be a full desktop replacement anytime soon.
All right.
Truthfully, and I don't think it will be. I think
You're
it's
crushing my VR dreams,
I
bro.
think it's a good it's an amazing add-on, and there's some things with VR where I will mention it and you're like, "Oh, I never thought of it like that." They're using it for people who are disabled, like they can't walk, right? They can't get out of bed. They'll slap a VR
Yeah.
headset on them and then they can move in a virtual world. From a mental health standpoint, I think that's huge where you can explore
So that
things.
was this is like the fifth piece of the puzzle I feel is VR. Cuz like a few like 10 or 15 years ago I had this idea cuz I saw that movie I heard about the movie Surrogates with Bruce Willis. Whereas like you rent out a body and like you can go into that and like use like somebody else's body to like go do stuff.
Hmm.
And I was like, how come we don't do that with robots? You know what I'm saying? Like there should be like, like how there's like places that do like scooter tours. I'm like, what if you like hooked up like a tripod scooter with like a camera and I could like go around and like do a virtual tour of like another city. I'm like, oh, let me go around like Europe or France. And I
Hmm.
saw that somebody right now in Canada has like a food delivery service that they use RC like robots to deliver like food to people like in a
Yeah,
little box, kind of like a Flight of the Navigator style.
yeah, yeah.
uh those NASA robots. So somebody built that and I guess they're controlled like remotely by people. So I'm like, can we do this with like those Segway style tripod, make it where like people can see my face, like do like a virtual, you know,
Take camera
presenter
or
style
something.
thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Like hook up like an
You
iPad
can.
or something to a
There is
screen.
a solution to like have your drone camera inside of your VR headset as well while you're flying it. So that could be a real world meets virtual world kind of a thing for you. Uh,
Yeah.
that definitely does exist now. Uh, I think that like complete body replacement where you're like being Avatar.
I'm not even saying that. I'm just like, if I can like just go around like a physical space, like move a physical thing around and like have control, like remote control over like a robot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To like go to other cities, other places, like interact with other people, and be like, "Hey, what's going on? I'm in, Japan. today. Instead of like spending thousands of dollars to go somewhere on vacation, like if I could just like, you know, get ported into like a cafe somewhere with somebody else on like a screen, like, you know, like Facebook has like those like screen things, like just let me like tag into somebody who's like at a diner somewhere who's like wants to like hang out with somebody from like a different, you know, place in the world, and like we just like share a cup of coffee and just like talk about life and be like, hey, what's things going over, you know, in, you know, China or Japan or Egypt or, you know, Moscow, you know, like
So you basically want a virtual Clubhouse app, is what it sounds like, where you're
yeah,
anywhere and just can talk to anyone. I
yeah,
mean,
I want that, and then I want to be able to like move around like
yeah.
as well, like, you know, I want different options. Give me different
At
packages.
this point, you're getting into a Philip K. Dick style of dystopian
Yeah,
future.
that's what I want. Bring that on, dude.
Are we there yet? You know,
Yeah, we have all the pieces. Like nobody
as a
just
society,
wants to.
though, not technology wise. I think technology wise, we could do it rudimentarily.
I think society wise, like nobody would want to use that. Like if I go to a cafe by myself, I don't want to talk to a stranger from across the world.
Yeah,
I guess that's fucking weird.
yeah.
But
You
like I'm
the
not
idea, but
you might
everyone's so
do it,
socially
yeah.
awkward where they won't do it.
Well, I know I am at least, but
So you want
I like
something
the
you won't
idea of
use.
it. Yeah. Well, I mean, like like you said, like there's like plenty of apps and stuff like online where people can do similar things right now. But like I never use any of those, but some people are. Like doesn't mean it's like a terrible thing, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
man.
it's I think it's a comfortability thing. And I think it's like if you grow up with the technology, you're gonna be way more comfortable interfacing with like complete strangers like on a screen than uh whereas like we grew up, it was like never talk to strangers, like, you know, always be afraid of everything.
There's definitely a shift, right? Because I remember like never use your name online and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Now people are all like, "Hey, you know, they know like you, your name, most things about you," because you know social media and just everyone's grown up navigating the internet. So
Yeah.
now it's a normal thing. Like hell, I had friends where I've met in real life that I've met and played games with for like a decade. You know, like one of my best friends, honestly, was in my wedding, and that's the first time I ever met him in life. The other time was like we just played games online together. But
It's all
you play
virtual.
games with somebody for a decade, you get to know them. You know what I mean? Like if this
Yeah.
is like the longest con ever, kudos to him. But you know, it turns out you know you get to know people, so it's just
There's
different
people
way of interacting with people, man.
if it was like was that game Eve Online, it might have
Yeah,
been the longest con ever.
yeah, right.
Because I've been
Right,
hearing
that's
about
true.
people who will infiltrate like clans for like 3 to 4 years and then like rob them.
Yeah,
And then they're interviewing like all the clanmates and they're like, bro, why though? Like we're just like why? Like I'm not even upset about the virtual thing. I'm more upset that like you would like ruin our friendships and stuff, dude. This is like, was it the whole time? Like this is so like flabbergasting that like somebody
that
could
game
like
promotes you know piracy and like the seedier side of life.
human. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's wild, man.
yeah.
It might have been the longest con ever if it was the game was EVE Online. Is all I'm saying.
It's true.
He's like,
True.
first I meet
Yeah.
him, spend 12 years, go to be the best man at his wedding.
Yeah, right.
Then I steal their flagship.
Exactly.
You're like,
That's
bro, but why?
honestly, I'd respect that. Like that's the ultimate thing.
Then he just logged off and our whole
Never
clan
seen him
warehouse
again.
was cleared out. Yeah.
Right. Be crazy. But yeah, man, let's just end it here. And let me ask the question to the audience. When it comes to VR, this is our second episode featuring just solely it. I've made my case multiple times. Chip is now finally, at least rudimentarily, interested in it,
I'm
and
on the precipice.
I think he'll get it sooner rather than later.
I'm waiting for like a holiday sale, like at Christmas or after Christmas. I
Yeah,
feel like they'll probably, because they already had it go on sale once, and they tend to do the exact same sale
like right after Christmas, and
right after. Yeah.
yeah. So, what is stopping you from testing VR? We lost Chip, it looks like, but what's
I
stopping?
lost you, dude.
Oh, it's back. Okay, so
On my side.
what's stopping you guys from trying VR? I know some people don't want to give their money to Facebook, which I completely understand. Uh, if it's just that there's other options, and then it might be barrier to entry. Is it lack of games? You know, if anyone wants to comment below, be wonderful. Anyone on the podcast side, we will be starting a social media thing soon, so we'll be on Twitter.
Are we?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. So
We've always made vague threats to like be on the social medias, but we never do.
yeah, the
We
fake
barely
threats are
show up
becoming
for this
more.
podcast most
That's
weeks,
true.
dude.
That's true.
Like
That's
just
true.
getting here is this is
Mission
the
and a
gift
half.
enough. Yeah, mission accomplished, dude. Like, uh, so yeah, I don't
That's
know.
something.
It's definitely like I think all of the above for some people, and I think it's just awareness. I don't think people understand how far it's come from those
The Virtual
prototypes.
Boy.
Yeah, from the
Yeah.
Virtual Boy to today. So
Yeah, man. All right, guys. Well, that is the pod for Combo Wombo. I'm Mr. Gimpy. That's Chipmunk.
Chipmunk.
Everyone have a great day. Like, share,
Have a
subscribe.
wee-
We out of here.
We out.